I tell buyers is this: don't skimp on an inspection. Why? Why would you skimp to save $200 when someone can find something that is a $10,000 issue?
Right.
Right. So number one, don't skimp on inspections. Number two, you have these ancillary, products. So if you're getting, or services, not products. So if you're getting a house inspected, you should get the pool inspected. If you want infrared, if you're worried that it flooded before, right? That's kind of a big thing around here sometimes because, we have flooding, at different points in time. Knock on wood, we haven't had a hurricane in 6 years, I guess it's been. So elaborate a little bit on the infrared and how that works, and then we can kind of jump around maybe to some of the other product or services.
Yes, generally your agent will lead you in the direction as far as just take the home inspection, that's a given.
Right.
But lead you in directions for other inspections that you may need,
Right.
other services you may need. And it's so important to have that conversation with the inspector. As an inspector, I do offer the additional services, but I don't want to just tell the buyer they need all those
Right.
services
It's
just
like
so
you're
I can
selling
sell
them.
it, right?
Right.
And that's not necessary.
Right.
Pool inspection, obviously you need a pool inspection.
Sure.
Home is given.
Right.
Thermal or imaging, sometimes it's not necessary. New construction, not so much.
Right.
Existing home where they did a lot of renovations, or just really they didn't do a lot of maintenance on the house.
Right.
And as a buyer, you just want to know, hey, I'm gonna go in there. I want really the most energy efficient house. Can you go in there and help me with maybe some thermal imaging because they did
Right.
a lot of additions and add-ons.
Right.
Those services that the inspector at that time, when he had that conversation, and I cannot stress enough, do not decide on an inspection based on price.
Right.
Okay.
Agreed. 100%.
We're not mandated to follow a certain price structure.
Right.
So each inspector will have their own price. I get questions all the time, and the first question I get on the price, what's your best price? So automatically,
Right.
So I know. So you $300,000 house, and you got an inspection that's $500 versus one that's $425, and you
Right.
go with the $425.
Right.
But maybe you didn't do your vetting.
Right.
I highly encourage, whether me anybody, obviously,
Right.
do any vetting on the inspector.
Sure.
And that way you feel comfortable that inspector is going to do for that $75 delta there is going to do
Which is nothing.
It's nothing in the price of a $300,000 house.
Right.
Is going to get you maybe that one thing
Right.
that may be so helpful for you
Right.
that just says, okay, this is the house for me, or maybe I need to go back to the seller
Right.
with my agent. We need to
Right.
renegotiate. So have that conversation up front. Make sure that those services that you want are legit and are
Right.
needed. And if it's checked the box, fantastic, no big deal.
Right.
If the inspector doesn't do those services, at least they can say, hey, I don't do those.
Right.
But the agent could offer a recommendation to that, et cetera. But it's so important to have that initial conversation when you're in that vetting process with the inspector. And if you don't know, if it's your first time,
Right.
ask them to walk through the process. What do you look at?
Right.
And the inspector should ask on an existing home, what are your concerns?
Yeah.
You've already seen the house. Tell me a concern that you
Right.
have. Well, I have a concern that I saw cracks here and here and here.
Right.
So great. I'm going to put that, I'm going to highlight that on my inspection as I'm walking through, that I really need to drill down on this, and I need to make sure that the buyer is fully involved in the story behind these cracks here.
Right.
So those
That'll be another episode. We'll talk about foundations. We'll break some of this down
exactly.
And get into that, because around here we're on ground that moves, and you do have cracks in the house.
Right.
And people are like, oh, the sky is falling, and that's not necessarily the case.